He spent 27 years in prison, and when he finally walked free, he didn't choose revenge.
Power is not given. It is taken. It moves in silence. It controls perception. Psychology of power. Master the mind. Control the game.
Get your
In
hands behind your back now.
1962,
Let go of me.
a man was arrested in South Africa. He was not yet a global icon. He was not yet a president. To many, he was simply a political dissident. But over the next 27 years, that man would become one of the most powerful symbols of leadership in modern history. His name was Nelson Mandela. This is not just the story of a man who fought against a system. It is the story of how a man transformed suffering into strength and power into reconciliation. Nelson Mandela was born in 1918 in the rural village of Mvezo in South Africa. He grew up in a society deeply divided by race, where systems of segregation were already shaping the lives of millions. As a young man, Mandela pursued education with determination. He studied law and became one of the first black lawyers in Johannesburg.
The walls of this cell were
his
meant
early
to break the
experiences
spirit, but the
in the
resolve
legal
of the
system
prisoners
exposed
only
him to
the
a
Eastern
harsh
Cape, 1920.
reality. The
As
law
the
was
sun
not
rises
neutral.
over the red earth,
it was a tool
the rhythm of life
used
begins
to
anew.
enforce inequality. This realization
The sun
changed
rises
him.
over the veld,
Mandela joined
bringing
the
warmth to the Eastern
African
Cape.
National Congress, an organization dedicated to fighting racial oppression. At first, his approach was rooted in peaceful resistance. Protests, legal challenges, disobedience. But as the government intensified its repression, Mandela's views began to evolve. Peaceful methods alone were no longer enough. The system he was confronting was not designed to negotiate. It was designed to maintain control. This marked a turning point in his life. Mandela became involved in more direct forms of resistance. In 1962, he was arrested. 2 years later, he was sentenced to life imprisonment. For most people, this would have been the end of their story. But for Mandela, it was the beginning of something unexpected. He was sent to Robben Island, a prison surrounded by cold ocean waters, isolated and unforgiving. Conditions were harsh. Hard labor. Limited communication, constant surveillance. But the physical conditions were only part of the challenge. Greater test was psychological. Years passed, then decades. Mandela was cut off from the world, from his family. From his people, from the movement he had helped build. This is where most stories of power would end, but Mandela's did not, because something was changing inside him. In prison, Mandela began to rethink power itself. He realized that anger, while justified,
Get your hands
could
behind
not
your back now.
sustain a
Move it.
nation.
Into the vehicle.
Hatred could mobilize people, but it could
This
not build a
injustice will not
future.
stand.
Instead of allowing prison to harden him, Mandela used it to transform himself. He studied, he reflected, he observed both his fellow prisoners and his captors. He learned to understand his opponents, not to agree with them, but to anticipate them. This was not weakness. It was strategy. Over time, Mandela became a leader even within prison. He developed discipline. Patience. Emotional control. He understood that leadership was not only about resistance. It was about influence. Even under the most restrictive conditions, he found ways to shape conversations, guide behavior, and maintain unity. Years turned into decades. Outside prison, the world was changing. Pressure on the South African Government increased. International attention grew. Economic sanctions took their toll. And inside the country, resistance continued. Eventually, the system began to crack. In 1990, after 27 years in prison, Nelson Mandela was released. The world expected anger. Revenge. Retribution. Instead, they saw something else. Calm. Control. Clarity. Mandela understood something few leaders ever truly grasp. Moment of victory is also the moment of greatest risk. A nation divided by decades of oppression stood on the edge of chaos. Violence could have easily followed, but Mandela chose a different path. He chose reconciliation. Rather than seeking to punish his former enemies, Mandela sought to include them. He promoted dialogue. He encouraged unity. He emphasized the importance of building a shared future. This was not a simple decision. It required extraordinary psychological strength. Because forgiveness, in this context, was not passive. It was active. It was deliberate. And it was strategic. In 1994, Nelson Mandela became the first Black president of South Africa. It was a historic moment. But leadership did not end with victory. It only just begun. Mandela focused on nation-building. He worked to bridge divisions. He supported the creation of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, allowing victims and perpetrators to confront the past openly. This was not about forgetting. It was about understanding. And moving forward. From a psychological perspective, Mandela's leadership represents a rare form of power. Not power based on control, power based on fear, but power based on restraint, on emotional intelligence, on long-term vision. He demonstrated that true strength is not defined by dominance. It is defined by the ability to remain in control of oneself, even under extreme pressure. Nelson Mandela stepped down after one term as president. He did not cling to power. He did not seek to extend his rule. Instead, he reinforced a principle that many leaders ignore. Power is temporary. Legacy is not. Mandela died in 2030, but his influence continues. Not because he conquered, not because he controlled, but because he transformed. He transformed suffering into strength. Division into unity. And power into something greater. Some leaders are remembered for the wars they win, others for the empires they build. But Nelson Mandela is remembered for something far more difficult. He is remembered for the peace he chose. Power shapes history, but psychology shapes power.